The world watches as China continues its rapid military modernization. The announcement of a 7.2% increase in its defense budget for 2025 sends ripples across the globe. This significant boost, amounting to an additional $16.5 billion, solidifies China's position as the world's second-largest military spender. China's increasingly assertive stance in the South China Sea and its rhetoric towards Taiwan have put the region on edge. The world is left to decipher the implications of China's military expansion. China's actions are being closely watched by the United States and its allies, as well as regional powers like India and Japan. The potential for an arms race in Asia is a growing concern. To understand the scale of China's military ambitions, it's helpful to compare its defense spending with that of its regional rival, India. Over the past decade, China's defense budget has consistently outpaced India's by a significant margin. While India has struggled to modernize its aging military infrastructure, China has poured resources into developing cutting-edge technologies like hypersonic missiles, artificial intelligence, and cyber warfare capabilities. This disparity in military spending is reflected in the balance of power in the region. China's growing military might has allowed it to assert its claims in the South China Sea more forcefully. It has also emboldened China to take a more aggressive stance towards Taiwan. India, on the other hand, has struggled to keep pace with China's military modernization. This has led to concerns in New Delhi about India's ability to defend its interests in the face of a more assertive China. As China's military power grows, so too does its ability to project influence in the region. This has led to a sense of unease among China's neighbors, many of whom are caught between the two Asian giants. The potential for miscalculation and conflict in the region is a growing concern. The contrasting approaches to defense spending by China and India highlight the different challenges and priorities facing the two countries. The $16.5 billion increase in China's defense budget is not merely about increasing troop numbers. It represents a strategic investment in key areas designed to transform the People's Liberation Army into a modern, technologically advanced fighting force. A significant portion of the budget will be allocated to naval expansion, particularly the development of aircraft carriers and submarines. This reflects China's ambition to project power far beyond its coastal waters and challenge the United States' naval dominance in the Pacific. Aerospace development is another key priority. China is investing heavily in advanced fighter jets, stealth technology, and ballistic missile systems. The development of hypersonic missiles capable of evading existing missile defense systems is particularly concerning for the United States and its allies. Beyond hardware, China is also investing heavily in research and development, particularly in emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and space-based assets. These investments are aimed at giving China a decisive edge in future conflicts, which are likely to be characterized by a fusion of conventional and unconventional warfare. The strategic allocation of China's defense budget reveals a clear roadmap for its military ambitions. China's military modernization has significant implications for regional security, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region. The South China Sea, with its disputed islands, rich fishing grounds, and crucial shipping lanes, remains a potential flashpoint. China's assertive actions in the region, including the construction of artificial islands and military outposts, have heightened tensions with neighboring countries and raised concerns about freedom of navigation. The Taiwan Strait is another area of concern. China views Taiwan as a breakaway province and has vowed to reunify the island with the mainland by force if necessary. The recent increase in Chinese military activity around Taiwan, including air and naval incursions, has raised fears of a potential conflict. Beyond these immediate flashpoints, China's growing military power has broader implications for the regional balance of power. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia are increasingly concerned about China's assertiveness and are bolstering their own defense capabilities in response. This dynamic has the potential to fuel an arms race in the region, further increasing tensions and the risk of conflict. Section 5. A World on Edge: Global Reactions to China's Military Expansion. China's defense budget increase and its growing military assertiveness have not gone unnoticed on the global stage. The United States, while still the world's dominant military power, is increasingly wary of China's rise. The Biden administration has identified China as America's primary strategic competitor and has pledged to counter China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific region. The U.S. has increased its military presence in the region, strengthened alliances with countries like Japan, Australia, and India, and is investing heavily in its own military modernization to maintain its technological edge. India, too, is watching China's military expansion with growing concern. The border dispute between the two countries, which flared up in 2020, has highlighted the potential for conflict between the two Asian giants. India has been modernizing its own military and deepening strategic partnerships with countries like the United States, Japan, and Australia, partly in response to the perceived threat from China. The global reactions to China's military expansion are a mix of apprehension, anxiety, and a desire to find ways to manage the rise of a more powerful China. Section 6. The Dragon's Roar: Domestic Perspectives on China's Military Ambitions. Within China, the government's narrative emphasizes the need for a strong military to protect national sovereignty and territorial integrity. State-controlled media outlets regularly highlight China's historical grievances and portray the country as facing external threats from hostile forces. This narrative resonates with a segment of the Chinese population, particularly those who have witnessed China's economic rise and yearn for a return to what they perceive as its rightful place on the world stage. The Chinese government also links military strength to economic growth and national rejuvenation. It argues that a powerful military is essential for securing China's economic interests, both domestically and abroad. However, it is important to note that public opinion in China is not monolithic. While the government's narrative of a strong China facing external threats resonates with some, others express concerns about the costs of military expansion and the potential for conflict. Section 7. The Elephant in the Room: India's Response to China's Growing Military Power. India, with its own long history and aspirations for regional leadership, is acutely aware of the implications of China's military rise. The 2020 border clashes served as a stark reminder of the potential for conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. In response, India has embarked on a path of military modernization, focusing on upgrading its aging equipment, developing indigenous defense industries, and strengthening its cyber and space capabilities. Recognizing the need for strategic partnerships, India has been actively engaging with like-minded countries, particularly the United States, Japan, and Australia. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, a strategic forum comprising these four democracies, is seen as a counterweight to China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. India has also been strengthening defense ties with countries like France and Israel, seeking to diversify its sources of military hardware and expertise. Beyond military modernization and strategic partnerships, India is also leveraging its democratic values and soft power to counter China's influence in the region. By positioning itself as a responsible and reliable partner, India aims to offer an alternative to China's model of development and security. Section 8. The Balance of Power: Implications for Global Security and Stability. The world is at a critical juncture. The rise of China, with its rapidly expanding military capabilities, is reshaping the global balance of power and creating both opportunities and challenges for the international community. The potential for miscalculation and conflict is real, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region, where territorial disputes and historical grievances simmer. Managing this transition peacefully and responsibly requires a multi-pronged approach. Dialogue and diplomacy must be at the forefront of efforts to address differences and build trust between China and other major powers. International institutions such as the United Nations must be strengthened and reformed to reflect the evolving realities of the 21st century and provide a forum for cooperation on global challenges. At the same time, it is essential to maintain a credible deterrent against aggression and uphold the rules-based international order that has underpinned global stability for decades. The choices made in the coming years will have profound consequences for generations to come.